you can't talk about the 90s without mentioning the great big green beast, Godzilla. Godzilla has been around since the 1950s. However, in the 90s, there was this big Godzilla resurgence, and that was fucking awesome, man. There was so many Godzilla movies in the 90s, and they had the toys and the video games and whatever. Anyway, today we're going to talk about Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. It almost kind of feels like the last Godzilla movie, like the way they kind of build up the title and everything. Space Godzilla is so fucking cool. He's got like giant ice picks on both sides of his shoulders. He can like fly, and it just rules, man. The special effects of the 90s just are kick ass. And by the way, I printed out this cover to make it in full because you can't get the DVD of Godzilla versus Space Godzilla that looks like this. This is a custom, baby. What do I give Godzilla versus Space Godzilla? Well, it's Space Godzilla. He rules. The movie is very good. And it also brings back Godzilla's son. So I'll give Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, I'll give it 3.5 Beanie Babies out of 5. Why not? And it also has a double feature. Godzilla versus Destoroyah. Now, this was marketed at the time as the final Godzilla film. And spoilers, Godzilla actually dies at the end of the film. And his heart has radiation in it. They built up Destoroyah to be like the most powerful monster Godzilla's ever fought. So they made it seem like it was the finale to the entire series, and it was for a while. They didn't make a Godzilla film after this movie for quite a while, so the build-up for this movie was insane in Japan. However, in the United States, we never got this kind of hype. But, I mean, they did release it on VHS in the 90s eventually. Once again, this is printed. I made this look like this because this is really a double feature, but I printed the full cover on both sides because I'm awesome. Godzilla vs. Destoroyah is a little better than Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and I love Destoroyah, and I loved playing as him in Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee back in the 2000s. Remember that game, boys? Anyway, so since it's a little better, it has moments where it's way too slow, and there's too much shit with the humans, but when it comes to the fighting, I definitely have to give it to this film. I will give it 3.5 Beanie Babies out of 5.